Weddings are supposed to be joyful chaos, but mine was headed straight for uncharted territory. Allison, my future mother-in-law, had been nothing but a dream during the wedding preparations. She'd offered me her vintage wedding dress, helped me tailor it, and had a hand in the catering and decorations. I never doubted her care or acceptance of me, not even for a second. "You look absolutely breathtaking," she had whispered just hours before the wedding, helping me into her restored vintage gown. "Like this dress was made for you." "I can't thank you enough, Allison," I'd replied, fighting back tears. "For everything. For making me feel like family already." Her eyes had welled up then, and I thought everything would be perfect, until Allison suddenly disappeared during the ceremony. She stormed back into the church, shouting, "Stop it," while waving a letter in the air. I felt like the ground had been yanked from under me. The murmurs in the room were deafening as Allison strode toward me, her face blotchy from crying. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she grabbed my hands. "I'm so sorry," she choked out, trembling. "I doubted it, but now it's confirmed." I glanced at Sam, my groom, who stood beside me, his face mirroring my confusion. "What's going on?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "Mom, please," Sam whispered urgently, his hand tightening around mine. "Whatever this is, can't it wait?" "No," Allison sobbed, her hands shaking. "No, it can't wait. Not another minute. Not another second." She turned to the crowd, her voice breaking as she apologized. "I'm so sorry, but I need to explain something important to the bride and groom in private. Sam and Avril, please come outside with me." Avril, my adoptive father, called from the front row, half rising from his seat. "Do you want me to?" "It's okay, Dad," I managed, though my voice quivered. "We'll handle this." The tension in the room was unbearable. Sam and I exchanged a glance before following her out of the church. My legs felt like lead, and my heart raced as we stepped into the winter sunlight. The cold air bit at my skin as Allison turned to face us, clutching the letter like a lifeline. "I don't even know how to say this," she began, her words stumbling over each other. "Just tell us," Sam said. "What's going on, Mom? Why did you stop the wedding?" "Sam, please," I whispered, touching his arm. "She's clearly upset. Let her explain." "A few months after Sam introduced you to me," Allison began, looking at me, her eyes glistening with tears, "I noticed a birthmark behind your ear. It's identical to mine." Her words didn't make sense at first. I touched the small birthmark behind my ear instinctively. "I thought it was just a coincidence," she continued. "But a few days before the wedding, during dinner, I noticed the birthmark behind your ear again. It was so identical to mine, and I couldn't shake the feeling. That's when I made the decision." "The decision to do what?" I asked, the chill in my chest growing. She wiped her tears and looked me directly in the eyes. "That evening, I saw you brushing your hair and putting the brush in your bag. Later, I took a strand of hair from it and sent it for a DNA test. I wasn't sure if the results would arrive in time, but they came this morning." "You did what?" Sam exploded, stepping forward. "Mom, how could you? That's a complete invasion of—" "Please," Allison begged, reaching for his hand. "Please just let me finish." My stomach flipped. "A DNA test? Why would you do that? And what are you trying to say?" Allison took a deep breath. "When I was 15, I had a baby with a boy I loved in high school, a little girl. Your father ran away the moment I told him I was pregnant. I was young, and my parents forced me to give her up for adoption. I was devastated, but I had no choice. I never stopped thinking about her, but I signed the papers, agreeing I'd never contact her or find out what happened to her. I've spent years trying to find my daughter, but I never could, until now." My knees buckled. Sam grabbed my arm to steady me, but my mind was reeling. "You're my daughter, Avril," Allison whispered. You're the baby I gave up. The world tilted. What? I gasped. I'm your daughter. The DNA results confirmed it, Allison said, her voice laced with emotion. You're my biological daughter. Sam and I stared at each other, and we were horrified. Oh God, I choked out, my hand flying to my mouth. Oh God, no, no, no. This can't be. But if you're my mother, I stammered, then that would make Sam my. No. Allison interrupted, shaking her head. No, you're not siblings. Let me explain. Not siblings? Sam's voice cracked. Mom, what are you saying? This doesn't make any sense. She took a step closer, her hands shaking as she clutched the letter. When I was 21, I got married. My late husband and I struggled with infertility, so we adopted a little boy. Sam was 7 years old when we brought him home. He's my son in every way that matters, but you and he aren't related by blood, Avril. Relief washed over me, but it was immediately drowned out by disbelief. Sam was silent beside me, his face pale and eyes brimming with tears. I remember that day, he whispered. The day you brought me home. You told me I was your miracle. You were, Allison sobbed, reaching for him. You are. Both of you are my miracles. I didn't want to ruin your wedding, Avril. But I had to tell you. You deserved to know the truth before marrying Sam. And now. Her voice broke, and she covered her face. Now I don't just have a daughter-in-law. I have a daughter. The rest of the day felt like a blur. We went back into the church and finished the ceremony, but the mood had shifted. I caught glimpses of Allison sitting in the front row, her eyes red from crying. At the reception, I couldn't focus on the celebration. My brain was stuck in a loop, trying to make sense of everything. My mother-in-law was my biological mother. My husband wasn't my brother, but he was still my mother's son in a way. I feel like I'm dreaming, I whispered to my adoptive father as we shared our dance. Dad, how is this real? He pulled me closer, his voice gruff with emotion. You're still my little girl. Nothing changes that. But maybe now you have room in your heart for two mothers? As Sam and I danced, he leaned in close. Are you okay? I don't know, I admitted, my voice shaking. How can any of this be okay? We'll figure this out, he said softly, squeezing my hand. You didn't just marry me today, you found a piece of your family, too. But what if it changes everything? I whispered against his shoulder. What if it changes us? Look at me, he said, tilting my chin up. Nothing could change how I feel about you. Nothing. I looked over at Allison, sitting at her table, watching us with hope and uncertainty. For the first time, I felt something shift in me. The days after the wedding were filled with long conversations. Allison told me everything, about the guilt she'd carried for years, the desperate searches, and the sleepless nights wondering if her daughter was happy and safe. I used to write you letters, she confessed one evening, pulling out a worn shoebox. Every birthday and every Christmas. I never knew where to send them, but I couldn't stop writing them. Sometimes, she whispered, would see a young woman on the street with long dark hair like yours, and my heart would stop. I'd wonder, could that be her? But I never had the courage to approach anyone. I don't know how to feel, I admitted. This is a lot. I understand, she said, tears filling her eyes. Take all the time you need. I'm just so grateful you're in my life now. And strangely, I was also grateful. A few weeks later, Allison came over for dinner. As we sat around the table, laughing and sharing stories, I realized something. Family isn't always about how you get there. Sometimes, it's about what you do once you arrive. Do you remember, Sam asked, grinning at his mother, that time you caught me trying to mail myself to Disney World? In a cardboard box. Allison laughed, wiping tears from her eyes. You'd packed a sandwich and everything. Thank you for giving me my son back, she said as we cleared the dishes. And thank you for giving me the mother I never knew I had, I replied. I have something for you, she said suddenly, pulling an envelope from her purse. It's the first letter I ever wrote to you. I wrote it the day they took you away. My hands trembled as I took it. I don't know if I'm ready to read it yet. That's okay, she smiled, squeezing my hand. We have time now. All the time in the world. Sam walked into the room, placing a hand on my shoulder. Looks like I married into one complicated, beautiful family, he said with a grin. The best kind, I replied, looking between my husband and the woman who was both my mother-in-law and my mother. And for the first time, I realized he was right. Complicated, yes, but beautiful all the same. Write in the comments what would you have done and subscribe to our channel D-Damn Mix.